I just want to play a clip related to the National Health Service in Britain and how the reaction to the coronavirus has been overblown, right? So this was a couple of months ago, but just listen to this.
At the beginning of this whole thing started in the UK, I think in America to some extent, we had this thing of we must protect the health service. We must protect the hospitals by not being ill and going into them. Of course, I mean, I and others said at the time, actually the health service exists to protect us, not the other way around. It isn't that we form a ring of steel around it, but that it's meant to form a ring of steel around us. And then, of course, you started to hear, that a grateful public was sort of sending donuts to doctors who had nothing to do other than spend their day eating donuts. I'm not saying in all cases. At the beginning, there was certainly a fight on the front line, but since then, our health service has been moribund.
Well, lucky, Douglas, that it's not moribund now. And, but that's the same sentiment as look at the doctors dancing around. I thought this was supposed to be a crisis, right? And it's the same logic that when people show projections, and not all projections, were accurate, but ones that were suggesting, okay, if we don't do anything, this is going to be very, very bad very quickly. And then when things are tamped down via restrictions and various measures.
Or just good luck, or even just some good luck,
Yeah, or even good luck, certain features of the virus or the weather, whatever it is, mean that the worst doesn't come to pass. But their reaction is, well, then we didn't need to take any of these mitigating measures anyway. And like we're seeing now, the health services are not doing fine and managing fantastically, right? Where that happens, it's because of efforts to prevent the health service from being overrun. And if we weren't taking steps to do that, that's what would happen. Everything would get clogged up with coronavirus cases.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I had to go to the hospital for some reason, I forget. That's right, up by Qatar. And this was right at that point where there was a lot of fear and a lot of uncertainty in Australia. And people were avoiding going to hospital and probably maybe even being advised to avoid it unless necessary. And it was empty at that particular time. And fortunately, in Australia's case, it turned out that the various measures that were put in place here actually worked and are still working. So that's like setting up like a MASH field hospital just before a major offensive and finding out that you actually didn't need it that much. That doesn't mean...
Right, yeah. In California, early on in the coronavirus, the government set up a ship offshore to deal with a flood of COVID cases, which didn't come. And the hospital facilities were sufficient to deal with the floods of coronavirus cases when they did come.
Douglas gets credit, including from me, that he is good at pointing out excesses of the left and inconsistencies and overreactions, right? And I think he does have a way of leveraging his outrage